clues, you can figure out which walls need art. Hi everyone, it's interior designer Carol Gilman. Let's discover interior design. Well, welcome to my channel's 3-year anniversary video. And we are going to cover a topic decided by you, which is how to figure out which walls need art or wall decor. But first of all, I just want to thank you so much for watching my channel, sharing your ideas, asking questions, and being an integral part of my channel's community. It means the world to me that you are here. So let's get started and talk about what we can kind of pay attention to so that we can figure out which walls need art and wall decor. And one thing that I'll mention is that I will just use the word art to describe anything that we're going to put on the walls, because it could be wall decor like mirrors, but I'll just use the word art, but we can also apply that to other types of things that we are going to hang on the wall. So one of the first clues or things to notice about a wall, and if it could use some art, that maybe it's kind of lacking something, is when we are thinking about views and what types of views that wall provides. And if we don't have art on this wall, that it is going to be lacking something. It is going to look kind of empty and create a view when we look at that wall that's kind of blah. So let me give you some examples of this. When we're talking about views, we are talking about when we are noticing a wall, when we're moving around our home and we notice certain walls maybe more than other walls. And there's certain areas in our home where this will take place more than others. One area that I pay attention to is the entryway. So where you enter and exit your home. And take some time to notice, what do you see when you first enter your home? Is there a wall that you see right away? Or when you turn around, is there a wall that you look at? Those are important walls that we may want to add some art to so that it's a really pleasant view. Or think about if you are going to leave your home. When you're walking over to the door, is there a wall that you look at before you exit the home? And that's another really important wall to think about so that when you're leaving the home, you have something beautiful to look at and something beautiful to look forward to when you return home. Another area that you want to think about is, what is the view like when you enter a room? So say if you're just standing at the doorway of a room, what do you see? What is the view there? It could be a window and the view outside, but are there wall areas, spaces on the wall where it might be nice to add some beautiful artwork so you have something beautiful to look at? And when you're in the room, pay attention to where you see other views moving around the room. One area that's super important is if there's a focal area. So say in a bedroom, you have a bed against a wall. Well, that's a natural place to place artwork above the bed because that becomes an integral part of that focal area, of that entire arrangement and grouping of furniture. The other areas to pay attention to are just when you're in the room and you are in different areas of the room, if there's a wall that you notice often when you are walking towards the closet or walking over to a bathroom, that you may enjoy having something beautiful to look at when you are in that room. And then think about when you leave a room. Think about your hallway. Would that be another nice place to have some art on the wall? It might be nice to have something to look at as you are entering the hallway. And since we're talking about hallways, one thing we can think about with hallways is we will have some different views. We will have a view that we will look at down the hallway. And if you have, say, we'll call it a destination wall. So there's a wall way down at the end of the hallway when you are going to other rooms off of the hallway. And it might be nice to have something to look at, to kind of look forward to while you are walking down that hallway. And if you have a stairway, important views that you may think about for artwork on those walls would be where there's a landing, whether that's a landing where you turn to go up the stairway, or even at the top or the bottom of a stairway. Take a look at your stairway and notice where you are looking. And if there's an empty wall there, it might be nice to have some artwork on there to make that view a little bit more pleasant. And another clue that you can kind of pay attention to is if you have certain types of furniture or certain built-in features in a room where without art on the wall above them, that grouping, that arrangement, that piece of furniture will look kind of incomplete. So, for instance, in an entryway, if you have room for a console table, well, a console table is a great piece of furniture to have art above it, where then it will create a more complete look. Or even if you have a chair or a bench in your entryway, or a chest or any other type of lower piece of furniture, adding art above any of those pieces will really complete that grouping and that arrangement. In a living room or family room area, think about if we didn't have art above a sofa. It may look kind of incomplete or kind of empty up there. So that's a great piece of furniture where you may want to have art above your sofa. And if you don't have anything else going on, say on end tables, that's another opportunity where you could possibly add art above end tables. And if you have lower pieces of furniture in that room, like a console or another type of table or low shelf, those are other opportunities where having an art piece on the wall above those types of furniture helps to bring that entire grouping together. And if you have a chair set aside in a corner or another type of seating area, and you have space on the wall that is empty, that might be a nice way to help tie in that entire area. And maybe in your living room, you have a built-in feature like a fireplace, which provides a nice opportunity to put some art above your fireplace. And then in a dining room, if you have a sideboard or a buffet, that wall space above those types of pieces of furniture are perfect for artwork. And in your bedroom, as we mentioned, if you have a focal area where your bed is usually a focal area in a bedroom, having artwork above the bed helps to tie that entire area together and helps to draw more attention to that focal area. If you have a chest of drawers, it's nice to have something above the chest of drawers. Or if you have a chair or a seating area in your bedroom, there may be a nice wall space near that chair or seating bench to display some art. And as in a living room or family room area, if you have a fireplace, that's a perfect opportunity to add something beautiful above the fireplace. And even if you have a sofa or sectional that's out in the room, or even a desk in your home office that's out in the room, or a dining room table that's out in the room, and there's some wall space in that area, think of the view again and imagine if you are looking at that sectional or that sofa or your dining room table, and you are looking at that piece of furniture and the wall behind it. Well, that's where we can kind of think about adding some art, because that way that kind of completes that view. It helps to create almost a grouping of itself with art or other wall decor on those walls. And another clue that you can kind of pay attention to is if you have been living with the room for quite a while, it's set up, you have all your furniture and artwork on certain walls and everything's kind of set up, but there's one wall or one area of the room that seems to be not fitting in with everything else. It doesn't seem to be tying in with what's going on with everything else in the room. That might be a good clue saying it needs something to kind of create balance to the room. Because if you have a room that has a lot of things going on one side, but there's one side that has fewer things going on in it, and it's just kind of left there, that might be an opportunity to add art on the wall. Especially if you don't have room for furniture, artwork will help to kind of offset that balance and help bring that entire room together. And we're talking about reasons to add art on a wall, but there are also reasons to keep in mind to not add art on a wall. One of them could be you have a room or your home has architectural features that we wouldn't want to cover up in any way. We would also want to keep in mind that we need some breathing space. We need some kind of empty space to balance out everything else that's going on in the room. One thing that we talk about sometimes is negative and positive space. And positive space means it's something physical that is taking up space in a room, whether that's a piece of furniture or an artwork on the wall. And the negative space, or another way we could call that is white space, is all the empty space around it. And we need a balance of both. And of course, this will depend on your style. Maybe you love to have lots of cool pieces of art on your wall, or maybe you would like to have a more simplistic, minimal style. But either way, you'll need to leave some breathing room, some empty space around things. You see if it'll make more sense to leave certain walls empty because we want to kind of have some breathing space and not necessarily filling in every space. And another thing you can think about is when we place art on the wall, right away, that is going to grab our attention. And so if we don't want to have attention brought to a certain wall or a certain area of a room, well, it wouldn't make sense to put art on that wall. So kind of keep that in mind. If you need to visualize how a wall will look with art before you go out and put artwork on the wall, one thing to try is just to cut out some pieces of paper and tape them on the wall. And you can use the back of wrapping paper or even those newsprint packing sheets and just cut them out in the size that will work on that wall and live with that for a while, because that will give you some sort of sense of how that wall will look with something on it. And let me know how you decided which walls in your home need art and what you decided to do. So please share that in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks so much for being a part of this channel's community. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.